Hey guys, welcome back to more Just Know HOA stories. In this video, a ridiculous HOA busybody towed my car illegally and then dared me to sue her after I called her out on it. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the video. And the first one is titled, "They Killed My Pets." So, to keep it simple, yesterday I got a Siamese fighting fish, or known as a betta fish, named Eclipse due to obvious reasons. I unfortunately did not have a proper aquarium for it. So I made one out of a large storage container from Home Depot, plastic, a coffee mug, sponge filter plus air pump and a little bit of sand. It wasn't perfect, but it would do until then. So my aunt complains earlier this morning that, "Why you got that big ass container for this small ass fish? And it don't need all that crap." For those who don't know, betta fish need at least a 5-gallon tank, so I tried explaining to her that this is not one of those carnival goldfish and it needs certain criteria to thrive. And that, well, it didn't work. Anyway, I leave off of school, I get a call from my girlfriend, damn I love her, that I can have her old 30-gallon aquarium plus filter and heater. I then leave 2 hours early from school to put Eclipse in his new home, only to find that she took upon herself to dismantle my makeshift fish tank piece by piece, leaving Eclipse dead in a Tupperware bowl filled with freezing cold water in the middle of my bedroom. When I confronted her, she said, "I told you, they don't need all that crap, and that's what fish do. They swim and die." So once she left to run errands, I went into the living room and grabbed her picture of her deceased grandfather, the only thing she has left related to him, and I dismantled the frame bit by bit. And when she comes back home, where's she gonna find the picture? At the bottom of the bowl, torn into shreds in freezing cold water in the middle of her bedroom floor. Sure, it might be a fish, but it was my fish, my money, my joy, literally murdered in cold blood. Welp, tonight she's gonna learn just how little things can make a big difference. Swim in peace, Eclipse, who lasted as long as her name's sake. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I'm curious, what do you think about this story? Do you think OP went too far in teaching this person a lesson, or was it just right? Let me know in the comments. Either way, the next one is the title story, and it's titled, "HOA Karen Dares Me to Sue Her After Towing My Car from My Lawn While I Was Not Home." I wanna be clear, sometimes even when people have your best interest in mind, it turns out that they don't. I was visiting one of my rental properties in Mississippi this past summer doing menial tasks, a paint job here and install there. When I came back, I decided to park my car on my lawn because I had to move some junk out of my garage from the previous tenants. When I went inside to make myself a sandwich and pee, I realized that I forgot to get a few things from the grocery store for the next couple days. It's a quick walk to the corner market where I am at, and I figured I needed the exercise. When I came back though, my car was gone. Now, I love my car, it's an old 1970s Corvette. I used to even race it on the speedway in Florida until I injured my arm. I walked outside and looked down the long stretch of street. It was completely empty. So I call the cops, they show up, and I file a stolen vehicle report. The next thing I know, I'm calling an Uber and telling the driver to go to every damn tow yard to find my car. I was hoping that it was in one of those places and not scrapped in some dingy lot for parts. Day turns into night and still no sign of my car. I'm completely ticked at this point, and I thought my Uber driver thought I was insane. I don't blame him. I told him everything that happened, that I think someone stole my car and I need to do my own detective work to see if it got towed. The guy starts laughing but sympathized with me, so I tipped him well. Finally, I get back to the house and still no sign of my car. I'm completely torn at this point, wondering if the cops are actually gonna find it. I started to have some panic attacks, so I took my meds and passed out on the couch that night. The next morning I wake up and see some shadows outside my window. I looked out and see this middle-aged lady with blonde hair and pepper streaks down the middle. I go outside and ask her, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" She turns around and sighs and says, "Yeah, go ahead." I then begin telling her how my car went missing and I'm not sure where it went. She starts mumbling under her breath and starts cursing as I ask her more questions. "Look ma'am, I'm not asking you too much, but I just want to know where my car is at. Haven't you seen it if you live here?" And I point to her house and she just looks at me and rolls her eyes. "Well, I guess I will let you know this much, but that car that was here on your lawn has been towed for violation of the HOA bylaws." I looked at her in disbelief. HOA bylaws? Look ma'am, I'm a landlord here and I'm sure I know everything about the HOA and their policies. "Can you please let me know what happened so I can get my car back?" She then turns around 180 degrees on me and goes back in her house. At this point, I now know that she is liable for my car getting towed, and everything in me wanted to break down her door to get my personal property back. So I went over to her door and started banging on it. I could hear her inside and she was cursing at me. "Get off my property or I will have you removed personally." I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this Karen? Clearly she knows where my car is, so I yell, "I just need to know why and where it is. Please tell me and open the door right now." No response. I call the cops. They show up and we start talking. I file another report with them that includes this lady telling me that my car has been towed. The cops say they cannot legally go inside her house without a warrant, but at least they tried to knock on her door to get her to come out. She played stupid and pretended to not be at home even though she was. They ran my plates again and called every tow yard in the town, but no one has seen it. I'm finally at my wit's end thinking, this is a major catastrophe and I've got no one on my side. The cops tell me to get in touch with a lawyer and take it to court. I start researching my HOA bylaws and wonky policies on towing vehicles. I find that there are no laws regarding parking on your own lawn, but there's one concerning oversized vehicles that obscure structures and properties. They even had a line that said vehicles with 2 different colors and accessories that distract. I'm thinking this is nuts because my car only has 2 stripes down the side, but it does not have accessories that distract. Did this lady tow me because she got it wrong? After talking with the cops and filing out a report, I went back inside and called up the HOA. It goes to voicemail and it turns out that it's the lady I talked to that day and her name is Margaret. I could tell that it was her voice, I kid you not. She is the vice president of the HOA. For Christ's sake, this lady must have something against me or something. I guess she didn't like my previous renters. I start researching HOA laws some more in the area and particularly the subdivision where my property is. I call back Margaret, who happens to be the HOA vice president. I tell her the cops are on their way over to speak with her. I call her back, no answer, again, no answer. Finally, she comes outside. I swear, I thought she was gonna tackle me or something and punch me right in the face right there. "Why the hell do you keep calling my phone? Just what is it that you want anyway? Don't you know that you cannot park your car there? You need to stop calling this phone or I will have you arrested for harassment." I start to climb up and my anxiety kicks in. I run inside and grab a few meds. I come back out and just as she is about to leave in her car, I start yelling, "Look lady, I need my car right now. If you don't tell me where it's at, I'm gonna sue your ass for theft and for non-compliance on HOA laws." She gets out of the car and then starts screaming at me. "What the hell is your problem? That car was illegally parked in that lawn. You don't live here and it's blocking the property. I could have you arrested for breaking HOA laws and for harassing me." She gets back in the car and puts on her seatbelt, but for some reason, she just sits in her car waiting. She gets on her phone and looks at me while she is talking in it. I start yelling at her, "Lady, I'm gonna call the cops, they are coming right now. I'm gonna sue you too if I don't get my car back." She gets out again and slams her car door and runs inside the house like a bratty teenager. What the hell? I thought she was gonna come out with a weapon or something, but she went inside for like 10 minutes and never came out. By now the cops are back and I'm telling them everything, how she illegally towed my car and it's nowhere to be found. How she is the vice president of the HOA and refuses to answer my questions. The cops start knocking on her door. I look around the neighborhood and people are recording everything on their phones. It was hilarious but a total disaster at the same time. She comes out screaming, saying how I cannot park my car in such and such space and it has a different color and all this nonsense. The cops start to calm her down and she starts screaming at them. At this point I thought she would get arrested or something, but one of them goes back and starts to calm down the neighbors and tells them to go back home. That is when I figured maybe I could find someone who might have a recording of the tow truck company that towed it. And sure enough, someone did. Some kid was passing by on his bike that day and took a photo of my Corvette getting towed. Apparently he was into cars like me and he liked the new rims and paint job I did on it. He said he did not have a photo of the tow truck but remembered the tow company because apparently this HOA ludicrous VP likes to tow cars in the neighborhood and his was towed not too long ago. That's why he was riding a bike. What the hell? He told me what company it was and I was shocked. It was towed to a private lot that had no sign out front on their yard, and what's worse is that this crazy ass HOA VP was towing cars there and ran this other side business where she would sell the parts for cash. It was totally illegal and insane, but I found out from the kid on the bike because he couldn't find his car either until a few months later. So this crazy HOA lady is trying to make a quick buck off the people here by towing their cars. She starts running up to me and screaming, "Get the F off my property! You need to arrest him! He's the culprit here! I dare you to sue me, you piece of garbage! I'll win and I get every penny worth from you!" The cops end up putting her in handcuffs and stated that she's disturbing the peace, so they try to have her chill out for a while. "Come on, I dare you, come on!" I could hear her yelling from inside the cop car. What the hell? I went down to the fake tow company and private lot that was holding my car. The cops came with me and we ended up getting my stolen car back. HOA VP Karen was arrested on burglary charges and grand theft auto. She was actually indicted on felony charges because she had concealed stolen property with the other vehicles she had in her fake tow yard. And the fact that she towed my own car while it was on private property turned out to be a serious violation. I was literally shocked at all this whacked up lady did, and the fact that she was the VP living next door to my rental property made me actually scared. I eventually got a settlement back from her crazy ass shenanigans from the HOA and she went to prison. I ended up selling my property and bought a vacant lot in town where I'm gonna turn it into a parking lot for 18-wheelers and repossessed vehicles. One day I'm hoping to turn it into a car wash where I can make some extra money. As far as the HOA goes, I sued them big time and some other neighbors came forward as well. Once word got out about her, the HOA got involved and got into a big mess legally with some of the neighbors, especially with this case going on with me and my car. And the next one is titled, "My girlfriend, 24 female of 3 months, never cuddles with me, 27 male, since she has always been a non-cuddler, and when we recently went on vacation she slept on the spare bed in the hotel room to avoid sleeping with me." So my girlfriend, let's call her Francesca, and I have been dating for an amazing 3 months so far, and she is absolutely amazing and caring and loving to me. She has only ever had one boyfriend before me, and she is my first post-high school girlfriend. It's only been a few months and my girlfriend sadly always finds a reason to not cuddle with me or even lay together for a long period of time when I try to. This really sucks because I've always been a huge cuddler and I guess I've just tried to overlook it when dating her. But honestly, it's hard. When I would ask if we can cuddle, it's always, "I really don't like cuddles, they make me uncomfortable." When I would ask why she feels this way, she always avoids the question. For my birthday, I asked her if she could try to cuddle with me just once as a birthday gift, and she got really emotional and said it would make her really uncomfortable, so I felt bad and haven't asked her again. Honestly, if I ask again, it's gonna make her sad, and it makes me upset seeing her like that. I talked to my friend about this and he said that she might be scared that I would try to make a move on her, aka intercourse, and I mentioned that early on in the relationship, since me and Francesca are both virgins, we have decided that we want to wait for the right moment before having sex, which we both agreed should be at least 6 months into the relationship. Honestly, I'm not sure what to do here, and hopefully I'm not overreacting too much, but it bugs me to not be able to cuddle with my favorite girl. Sometimes she rejects holding hands too, which also sucks, and she will hold my hand for a minute or so and then let go. I've talked about this with her too, and she said it makes her feel bad when I make her feel like she's not good enough because she doesn't cuddle and hold my hand. Since I've typed too much already, I will keep the remainder of this short. Recently, she's been wanting to visit Hawaii for a long time, so I surprised her with a weekend vacation there. When we got to the hotel, she insisted on sleeping in the spare bed. She was not upset with me or anything and just decided she wanted to sleep alone. It hurt me, but I shouldn't have expected much anyways, considering the lack of cuddles. By the way, we've never slept with each other anyway since we live in different houses, so this was the first time I've ever attempted to sleep with her. Again, she is an awesome person who is loving in every way possible except cuddles. I have questioned my BO, but I don't believe it's that, considering she likes spending time with me otherwise. I never knew someone would hate cuddles, but she's the one, and I'm not sure what to do. Thanks in advance, y'all. And yeah, Ripestars, let me know what you think about this one in the comments. I'm really curious about your opinion. I would say it's certainly weird and not exactly normal for a relationship, and it might be a red flag in some way or another. Either way, let's see what the update says. So I read a lot of the advice and decided that I was gonna talk to her about a possible breakup. I know this makes me sound like a bad person, but honestly, I'm just a very touchy guy and express my affection by touching and being touched. Not being able to cuddle or hold hands or sleep next to my girlfriend was not gonna work out for me and just felt like a constant tease you would get from a long-distance relationship where you would think about holding and cuddling your girl or guy, but just don't end up doing it. Honestly, it was not gonna work out. I brought my girlfriend to my house after telling her that we had to chat. I started by telling her that I'm really sorry and like her very much, but I don't think that things will work out with our different cuddling preferences. She started crying and said she didn't want me to be turned off by this, but she actually loves cuddling, but has a sweating disorder, and when she cuddles she gets super sweaty, like I'm talking hella sweaty. She said her ex-boyfriend dumped her because of her sweating, and she said that's why she didn't want to cuddle with me. She said the same thing happens when she holds hands and she gets super sweaty. She said she was just afraid cuddling with me would make me leave her, like with her ex in the past. I felt bad that I've been giving her so much crap about it, and it was like an insecurity she had, and I told her that I don't really care if she sweats on me, it's all good. She laughed and said, no, I actually sweat buckets, and I told her, can you sweat buckets on me? She thought about it and then she said, okay, but don't break up with me over it if I sweat too much, in a joking voice. She laid beside me and we cuddled, and it felt so good to finally feel that with her. She actually managed to sweat so much that my shirt was pretty wet and the bedsheet was soaked, and I told her that I found it pretty cool. She said that she is so happy that someone appreciates cuddles and doesn't mind the sweating, and I was just so happy we were finally cuddling. I told her I didn't mind getting soaked cuddling and said at least now we can have kisses in the rain in bed, and she could not stop laughing. She asked if we could hold hands in bed to show me how sweaty her hands get, and again my hands were wet as hell, which I didn't mind. She said, if you ever need to wash your hands and there's no sink available, just hold my hands, which was really cute. It's been an amazing day and I'm just really happy things worked out. I told her that if she felt like things her ex said to her were hurting her and still making her feel insecure, she should really consider maybe seeing a therapist to help her feel more comfortable. She agreed and said that the fact that I like her sweating lifted a burden off her shoulders since she loves cuddles. Hopefully all goes well. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I gotta say, that is such a cute ending to the story, and I'm happy for OP and his girlfriend that they can finally cuddle with each other. That was seriously an unexpected ending. The next one is titled Local Revenge. Have you ever worked with someone who you know immediately is really something special? I've had a few opportunities to work with people like this, and my first thought is, I want to help this person get wherever it is they are going. So anyway, I worked for a non-profit for a while after retiring from the army. First day on the job, one of my peers in the leadership team pulled me aside and warned me about one of the guys on my team. Jane, you will have to keep a close eye on Willie. He is low effort and takes a lot of hand-holding, rubs people the wrong way, and honestly, we are considering firing him. Me, thanks for the heads up, you never know what you're getting into at a new position, so I appreciate having the info. Damn, what have I walked into? But then I started working closely with Willie, and I made some discoveries. Sure, Willie was an introvert, kept to himself and could be a touch socially awkward, but he did indeed knew his job inside and out. He managed my department's logistic requirement precisely. We always had what we needed, but never too much excess static stock on hand. He found innovative ways to work with our community partners. He built new initiatives that capitalized on existing resources without incurring additional costs. A very important skill to have in a non-profit. He impressed donors so much that he actually convinced them to contribute significant sums in support of his additional duty department, and he was not even part of the fundraising team. Willie was quite the rock star, and I quickly realized how lucky I was to have him. Despite all this, the rest of the regional leadership team seemed to have it in for him. I found out later what it was that set them off. Willie had made an offhand comment to Jane about a year before I joined. Nothing sexist or bad, just a casual observation about a physical aspect of the office space that Jane interpreted poorly. She shared it with other leaders in the organization. They decided that the comment made their teeth itch, and it became a snowball that quickly rolled over Willie's reputation. The comment was relayed to me by a third party a few months after my arrival. I went and talked to Willie about it directly. I wanted to get his take. Our discussion revealed that it was totally innocuous, but misinterpretation had caused a misunderstanding and that damage was done. Rather than asking questions of Willie to clarify, they assumed a bunch of crap and ran with it. The stage was set, and Willie had realized that he didn't have a future at our location. Leadership had made up their minds about him and were actively blocking his options when they learned about any moves he was trying to make. I knew of at least 3 instances where they torpedoed his chances for interviews at other nearby locations in the organization, tripping him before he even got out of the gate. Willie knew that if he was going to advance, it was going to be somewhere else. He started looking for new work, and he eventually found something at another branch of our organization in a different state. He kept it very quiet, got the interview, and the other region was assessing the different candidates. The only other person in our region who knew about it was me, and that was only because I had spent months gaining Willie's trust. He knew he could confide in me and I would not crap on him. Around that time, Jane hit me up again about Willie. Jane: "I'm amazed by the changes in Willie since you came on board. You've done really a lot to mentor him and get him up to his full potential." Me: "I've done a lot of work where Willie is concerned. Some of it was helping him with professional development." But most of it has been focused on shifting the leadership team's perspective. He's really not that different from when I arrived, but just as you indicated, your perception of him has definitely changed. I have put a lot of effort into just letting him shine, giving him credit for the good things he does and staying out of his way. He didn't need micromanagement, he needed room to run. Every time he achieved something, I made a point of highlighting his success and the benefit it brought to our organization. The work I did was not on him, it was on you. Jane did not know what to answer. Back to Willie though, I asked him if he wanted me to go to bat for him in the hiring process with the other region. He said he would appreciate the help, so I called the manager at the other location and told her that I don't want to lose Willie, but all the reasons why I want him to stay here are the same reasons why you need him there. The problem is, if Willie stays here, the organization is gonna lose him because they won't promote him. I would rather have him stay with the organization in a different place than lose his commitment and skills entirely. She ended up hiring him. Of course, it was all him, skills, experience, interview. She knew she was getting someone amazing. My recommendation was just the icing on the cake, made it easier for her to decide what she already knew. Willie's taste of sweet revenge came when the leadership team had to eat crow as they congratulated him on his move. Willie knew this team of leaders had put a lot of effort into making sure he would never advance. Some of their congratulations were less than genuine, including Jane's. The cherry on top was that the pay and position at the new job was half a step above mine and the rest of the leadership team. And that's right, he moved on, he moved up, and he outranked us all. A most excellent FU to the folks who had stood in his way. And yeah, Ripe Stars, that is what I would call brilliant revenge. Good on Willie. Anyway, the next one is titled Credit Revenge. So I just got off the phone with my wife, and this story may not be a revenge per se, but nevertheless it's about 3% revenge at least. Anyway, my wife is at Costco doing the weekly shopping. She is standing in line and the lady in front of her is having issues with her cards not working. She is frantically calling her husband, trying to get it fixed, trying over and over again to use it, but with no luck. She tells the cashier she will just put everything back. My wife, being the kind-hearted person she is, starts surveying the lady's items by looking at the card. At that moment, the lady chimes in, "What are you looking at?" So my wife, who's not very confrontational, immediately claps back and says, "Well, I was gonna help you out and buy the stuff for you, but not after the way you just talked to me." Apparently this triggered the lady and she stormed off, leaving all the items on the belt and in the cart. Lesson here is maybe treat people with respect no matter the circumstances. You never know when you might need help. And yeah guys, if you cannot get enough of my content, please don't forget to check out my podcast by searching for Ripestories on all major podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple or Google Podcasts. Furthermore, you can find bonus content by going to patreon.com/ripeyoutube or by clicking the join button here on YouTube. For a small monthly fee, you will get access to dozens and dozens of exclusive videos you won't find anywhere else. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.